There was a Lutheran pastor. Every Sunday, he would begin by saying, "The Lord be with you." And the people automatically responded, "And also with you." Every Sunday, "The Lord be with you." One Sunday, the sound system was not working, and he stepped up and said, "There's something wrong with the sound system." And the people said, Have you ever noticed that whether we're conscious of it or not, life has a way of echoing back what we put out there? There's been a lot of talk about the law of attraction, but really there is no law of attraction without a law of radiation. That it really is about what we set into motion. It really is about what we are and what we embody, because we can only experience what we are, what we have to experience. And so today we talk about, ideally, what we're putting out is that vibration, that frequency, that power and that presence known as love. For those of you that have been tracking along, we're in a spring series that is based on a being of light. And we are using two models. One, the Hindu model of the chakra system. The chakras are found in some of the most ancient sacred texts that we know of in our world, and they are the Upanishads. And then in the Christian Bible, the New Testament, the book of Revelation. In the book of Revelation, there are 7 seals and 7 churches. These 7 seals are opening up churches or spiritual centers which are completely aligned with this Hindu teaching of the chakras. And so we're looking at this to learn about different aspects of ourself as a being of light, as a being of consciousness. Today we reach the 4th chakra, known as the heart chakra. And if you have 7, the 4th then is a place where there are 3 below and 3 above. Would you give me the first slide? On the left is simply an illustration showing these. And remember, it's just an illustration. It's a model for helping us understand something. But the symbol for the chakra is this particular symbol on the right. And do you notice what's in the middle? Exactly. Go to the next slide. Inside of that is what is referred to as the Star of David. But what's really powerful about it, it is 2 triangles overlaying each other because it is a point of intersection. It represents our dual nature as physical and spiritual, as form and formless, that this is the place that the 2 intersect and come together, and that it is only the energy of the heart that can truly bridge our nature as being formless and form. And so the symbol is, to me, very powerful and very appropriate when you understand that. It says it unites the dual nature of human and spirit, form and formless. Here we collapse and integrate this duality into an experience of oneness. It's the awareness that all are connected to one another. It is the awareness that we are all connected to the same divine energy source. Interestingly enough then, this heart chakra is connected to the thymus gland. The 4th church in the book of Revelation is the book of Thyatira, the same roots, which I found fascinating. Thyatira, the message to this particular church is that here we encounter a being with eyes like fire and feet like brass. Eyes of the spirit. Fire is formless, basically, and feet like brass, meaning it couldn't be any more solid than brass feet. And for this particular church, the question that was before them is, where is your heart invested? Where is the energy of your heart invested? So today, when we explore this center of oneness, center of divine love, we sustain judgment, we create an opening and enter to this question for ourselves that says, where is the energy of my heart invested? Learning to bring mindfulness to that is very important, because there are times that the energy of our heart is invested, we're walking in nature, we're at peace, and then we get out in traffic. Or we get in I have a thing about getting in the grocery store line for 10, And the people in front of me tend to have like 16 because I count. It's time to just slow down a little bit. Where is the energy of your heart invested? It's not about being right or wrong. It's about being present. When is your heart most open? When is your heart most likely to close? If our heart is holding fear, unexpressed grief, disgust, judgment, shame, resentment, or residual hurt, these energies and their sponsoring belief. You see, an energy is energy, an emotion is energy in motion. So anytime we have these things, there's a belief behind it. So these energies and these sponsoring beliefs cause the heart to be heavy and therefore somewhat shut off. In the ancient Egyptian tradition, there was a belief that if when you died and crossed over, that before you could cross over into the promised land, your heart would be weighed. And on the other scale was a feather, that your heart must be as light as a feather to completely enter into the promised land. They also believed in reincarnation, and they believed that every life you were working towards having your heart be as light as a feather. It's a beautiful analogy because it reminds us that every day it's about finding what are the blocks in my own heart, and how do I allow myself to be completely as light as I can possibly be and as present as I possibly can be. We've been told that love is the greatest power in the universe. The scriptures, all the sacred scriptures say the same thing. When Jesus was asked, how would you sum up the law? And he said, I would sum it up like this: to love the Lord your God with all your heart and all your soul and all your might, and to love your neighbor as yourself. That these are inextricably linked, that it all begins with how much love can you hold in your own heart for yourself. Because only the amount of love we can hold for ourselves do we truly have to be present to another. And that to love God is to love a dimension of ourself, that God is a dimension of all that is, as are we. And so that as you know yourself and you love yourself, it doesn't matter which of these doors bring you into an experience of love. Love is love. And that's what we're seeking to enter into, is that experience of love. Christophe Burka, in her book, Pearls of Consciousness, writes this: the heart is the vital connection, for it is through the heart that the energy of spirit manifests and takes root in the physical. The purpose of the heart is to support you to bridge and integrate the twofold realities of existence, the form and the formless, within your consciousness, so that you may experience a dimension within yourself that is deeper than form. Listen to that again. So that you may experience a dimension within yourself that is deeper within form. That is your true self. Your heart supports you to be one with the essence of who you truly are. To me, that says it in a nutshell. Your heart supports you to be one with the essence of who you truly are. Jesus said, I and the Father of one. His prayer was that we would know and enter into that same oneness, that we are all one. That's what all the great master teachers, all the spiritual traditions are teaching and pointing us to, is to enter into that experience of one. And so the first thing this says is that the heart, or love, supports you to be one with the essence of who you truly are. That love and your heart supports you. You know, sometimes I often wish we had a news channel that was called the Positive News Station. Because think about it, you have to go around the world and search high and low and really deep to come up with an hour's worth of negative stuff. You'd only have to look in your own backyard to come up with an hour's worth of miracles and positive stuff that happened that day. And so sometimes we see these things and we get it out of proportion and we think that the majority of the world is full of hate. That is not true. Our world would not be here except for love. Amen? All of us have been recipients of love. If it were not for love, you would not be here today. Every child, every baby is dependent on love to feed it, to care for it, to nurture it, to keep it safe. No matter what you've experienced in your life, if it were not for love, we would not be here today. It is love that makes the world go round, and it is love that is the power that is healing and transforming us. There is far more love available than we may imagine, and there is far more love in the world than fear. It cannot be otherwise. We're just simply seeking to have it grow and grow and expand and expand. And so love is always supporting us. If you can imagine for just a moment, imagine that the day you were born, you were put in this little boat and set out on the ocean. If you're afraid of water, don't let that fear get you upset during this illustration, because just imagine this is what you were born to do and you're safe and everything is okay. But you're all in a boat out on the ocean. And the first thing that you begin to develop is your relationship with the boat. And you're looking out and somebody else goes by and you say, well, gosh, their boat looks better than mine. What's wrong with my boat? And then you see another one and you say, oh, that's an ugly boat. My boat's better than their boat. And you start realizing that everybody's in relationship with their boat, and you're sort of fascinated with that. And then you begin to learn to paddle. And you realize, wow, I can out-paddle you. And so now we're about paddling, and we paddle over here, and we've got somebody else in our boat saying, don't paddle this way, paddle that way. And so I thought I was doing it right, and now I'm going this way. And now as I'm paddling, I go out and I discover a group of people that are paddling their boat. And they say, oh, you're a paddler, you're doing it wrong, you need to pedal. We don't believe in paddling. And so you pull in your paddles and you say, well, gosh, I guess I should be a paddler. And so you learn to paddle your boat for a while until you go to your parents' homes, and then you pedal because you know you're only supposed to pedal at that place. And so you're a secret peddler and a paddler, but you don't really know what you are. Because you're pedaling and you're paddling and you're looking at other boats and you're comparing, and finally you get so exhausted you just throw down the oars and you stop. And one day you realize, by God, I'm floating. I never noticed. I never noticed. And you start looking around and you realize we're all in the same ocean. And then you begin to realize this boat is not my body. It's my awareness. I live in my awareness, and my awareness is always comparing, and am I doing this right? And if I'm not, I must pedal faster, or maybe I need to learn to paddle faster, or maybe I need to even learn something else. The mind is incessantly driven to do these things. But as we begin to relax and realize, I'm the only one in the boat, and these are all voices in my own being. But even beyond this, the purpose is that I may realize I'm in an ocean of infinite love. And there comes a time that we realize life can either be about the narrow confines of our own boat. We can identify ourselves as our paddling in this person in the narrow confines of our boat. Or we can begin to identify as one with this infinite ocean of love. And then we realize that everyone is in the same boat. We're all in that same ocean. We're all doing our best. But the only thing that really matters is we're all in one, this infinite ocean of love. To know that is to feel the support of love. It is to realize that anytime I find myself struggling and wondering if I'm doing it right, take a breath, calm to mind, meditate. Know yourself with one with the ocean of love. Love, first and foremost, supports us. The second thing that love does is love connects us. Helen Keller, in her autobiography, The Story of My Life, talks about, as a blind and a deaf child, trying to understand and learn what was love. Can you imagine that? If you couldn't see and you couldn't hear, trying to comprehend what love was? This is what she writes from her autobiography. I remember the morning that I first asked the meaning of the word love. This was before I knew many words. I had found a few early violets in the garden, and I brought them to my teacher, Miss Sullivan. Miss Sullivan tried to kiss me on the cheek, but at the time I did not like to have anyone kiss me except my mother. Miss Sullivan put her arm gently around me and spelled into my hand, I love Helen. What is love? I signed back. She drew me closer to her and said, it is here. She put my hands together and pointed it to my own heart and said, it is here. Pointing to my heart, whose beats I was conscious of for the first time. But her words puzzled me very much because I then did not understand anything unless I could touch it. I smelled the violence, and I asked her in sign, "Is love the sweetness of these flowers?" "No," my teacher said. Again I thought, what about this warmth I feel on my face? "Is this not love?" I asked, pointing to the direction of where the heat came from. "It is not love," she replied. It seemed to me that there could be nothing more beautiful than the sun, whose warmth makes all things grow. Miss Sullivan shook her head, and I was greatly puzzled and disappointed. I thought it strange that my teacher could not show me love. A day or two afterwards, I was still thinking about how to understand love. She was working with beads and trying to figure out something, and she was being frustrated. She said, Miss Sullivan, her teacher, was very patient. And then her teacher wrote on her head, "Think, think." She think and pointed to her head. And she said, in that moment, I realized something was happening in my head. There was a process. And the concept of something that you could not grasp began to make its way into my heart. Immediately after that, she said, the sun had been under a cloud all day. There had been a brief shower, but suddenly the sun broke forth in all its southern splendor. Again, I asked my teacher, "Is this not love?" "Love is something like the clouds that were in the sky before the sun came out," she replied. Then in simpler words than these, which at the time I could not have understood, she explained, "You cannot touch the clouds, you know, but you feel the rain, and you know how glad the flowers and the thirsty earth are to have it on a hot day. You cannot touch love either, but you feel the sweetness that it pours into everything. Without love, you would not be happy or even want to play." Helen Keller writes, "In that moment, a beautiful truth burst upon my mind and into my awareness. I felt that there were invisible lines that stretched between my spirit and the spirit of others." Isn't that profound? I felt that there were invisible lines that stretched between my spirit and the spirit of others. Helen Keller would go on to write later in life, "The most beautiful things in the world cannot be seen or even touched. They must be felt with the heart." You see, love is calling us to know that we are supported because we are love. We can never be disconnected. And to draw us into a connection with one another, to feel that sacred connection. The 14th century Italian poet Francesca Peterso writes, "Love is the crowning grace of humanity. Love is the holiest right of the soul. Love is the golden link which binds us. Love is the redeeming principle that reconciles the heart to life. Love is God, and God is love, and you and I are this love." Love supports us. Love connects us. And love helps us discover who we truly are. When I was in my first ministry in Lawrence, Kansas, I had a Native American shaman who gave this to me, this pouch. My grandmother was part Cherokee, and this Native American shaman recognized that in my ancestry and one day came and brought this and put it on me. And this Native American shaman said, "This is a medicine pouch." And I thought, is this going to hold my Advil and my Gaviscon and my whatever else I may need? Medicine pouch? I didn't know what they meant. And they begin to describe, in the Native American tradition, medicine is first and foremost for the spirit. Just as laughter is medicine for the soul, or joy is medicine for the heart. And they put a few things in this, and they explained to me, they said, for example, there was like a little seed, and they said, this is medicine for your creative spirit. There was a little piece of crystal, and they said, this is medicine for your own spiritual enlightenment. And they said, over time, you will collect things, and you'll carry these things to realize they are medicine for your soul. They may be medicine for your body, medicine for your mind. And so I took it, and I was very touched by it, but I honestly didn't really understand it until I was in Maui. When I was in Maui, I went to that church to be an interim minister. And the church had, needed an interim minister. They were dealing with some things. And as time went on, I began to feel the tension of the crossfire and the changes because, when changes need to be made, sometimes you feel resistance, you feel opposition. It doesn't necessarily mean that the change shouldn't still take place, but there's still resistance and opposition sometime. And I was in the midst of that. And it was being mirrored in my own life. I was having some physical challenges, personal challenges. It seemed like there were challenges in every area of my life. So one day when I was meditating, I saw an image of this, and I went and dug it out. I've had it in my nightstand. I went and found it, put it around my neck, and I said, okay, Holy Spirit, show me what medicine for my soul, for my spirit, what do I need to help me in these turbulent times? What do I need for my body, my mind, my spirit? And I sent that out to the universe, and I emptied my little packet, this little pouch. But I kept it on, and I went about that day. It was my day off, and I was cleaning the house. And as I was cleaning, sometime later, I found myself singing, all you need is love, love. You ever vacuum? All you need is love. It gets a little easier. All you need is love, love. Love is all you need. I'm vacuuming. All you need is love, love. Love is all you need. I'm really getting down. And after a while, this thing, thank God people don't see us at home when we do these things. Amen. Amen. The little pouch began to swing around, and all of a sudden, I stopped and I burst into tears, and I thought, that's it. All you need is love. And in that moment, I literally heard these words that spoke to me and said, love carries its own medicine. That love carries its own medicine. Whatever the soul needs, whatever the body needs, whatever the spirit needs, love carries its own medicine. And I began to cherish this, and I wore it for the next couple of weeks, actually. And I really felt it as love. And so when I'd encounter people, I would try to be loving. And then I eventually realized that it wasn't about trying to manufacture love. It was about allowing love to be medicine to me. It was about allowing love to touch me anywhere I was hurt, where I was broken, where I was frustrated, to allow love to be my medicine. And as I was healed, and because it's just like if you're in pain, you cannot necessarily show up and be happy. The pain must be tended to first. Anytime in our life there's pain, first and foremost, love is seeking to heal us first. And then from that place of our wholeness, our fullness, it's only from that place that we can go out. I felt like at the time I was wearing this, I also should have been wearing a big sign that said, under construction, beware. Love carries its own medicine. Love supports. Love is always connecting us with whatever we need to realize our own wholeness, our own oneness, our own sense of connectedness with all that is. And then joy becomes that infallible sign of the presence of God, the presence of love. One of the people that I really admire, two of the people actually, well, let me tell you a little story first. There's a woman that I want to tell you about who was born in 1928. Her name was Marguerite Annie Johnson. She was born in St. Louis, Missouri, again, 1928. Marguerite's parents divorced when she was only 3, and she and her brother were sent to live with their grandparents in Arkansas. And so she really began to experience racial discrimination and prejudice when she moved to Arkansas. At the age of 7, this little girl was sexually molested. It was so devastating to her, she was afraid to tell any adult, so she confided in her brother. But her brother told an uncle, and her uncle killed the man that had molested her. She felt that her words had killed this man. And at the age of 7, she fell silent and did not utter or speak a word for 5 years. She said for 5 years she lived in shame, she lived in pain, it hurt. When she was 13 years old, she moved to California again to live with her mother. And she said she began to heal. That the shame, the distrust, the confusion, little by little, music and writing began to heal this young girl. She made forgiveness and love her focus. She asked for teachers and things to come into her life that would teach her and help her heal, and she did. Later in her life, she would write, "Love recognizes no barriers. Love jumps hurdles, leaps fences, penetrates walls to arrive at its destination full of hope." You know this woman as Maya Angelou. Marguerite Annie Johnson, Maya Angelou. Love recognizes no barriers. Love jumps any hurdle, leaps any fence, penetrates any wall to arrive at its destination full of hope. Love is here to support us, to connect us, and to lead us into awareness to know that who we truly are is one. Would you join me in the song that says, "There is only love"? There is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love.